You're listening to Kempire here on the Kempire Radio Network.
Here we go now. Here we go now. Here we go now. Okay, enough of that. Welcome back to the Kempire channel, your number one source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. Before we get to anything, be sure to like the video, be sure to share the video, be sure to subscribe. It is a subscribers only live chat. This is pre-recorded. However, it's not your Real Housewives of Orange County recap. It is, if you looked at the title, and probably the reason why you're here, is the Braxton Season 2 recap of episodes 1 and 2. I had some time because after watching Real Housewives of Orange County last night, I said I can't. I was like, what am I going to even say? What am I going to say? What am I going to even talk about? So I'll briefly say this at the beginning of this recap. They're in Amsterdam. They're forcing a fight between Shannon and Jen. Shannon plays along because she understands reality television. She was on Watch What Happens Live last night and basically was like, I don't know what the big deal about me throwing a luncheon. We throw luncheons, we throw events. What was the point of Tamara's event? Sidebar, speaking of Watch What Happens Live, I will miss Garcelle's commentary when she has her confessionals. If anything, do I think Garcelle would have survived in like an Atlanta? No, but she still had a spice enough that was something very different than what the Beverly Hills girls were used to. I will miss her on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. No doubt. Her commentary on Watch What Happens Live was like, oh, this is what I'm going to miss. I'm going to miss this on Beverly Hills. And it was already hard bringing anyone that was different on Beverly Hills, anyone that was a person of color, black, whatever, on Beverly Hills. And she fit in perfectly. Even though she might have felt that she didn't. And she says that that was part of the reason why she decided not to return. She said at the reunion is when she made the decision. And she's like, these people are not my friends. I don't belong here. And I don't blame her. And she did confirm that her friendship with Sutton is completely over. And she told Sutton the reason why she was upset with Sutton is because she felt like Sutton did not have her back. And then when she spoke to Sutton afterwards, Sutton showed no accountability at all. So I get it. I get why she's just like, I've always had your back and you couldn't even have my back at this reunion. And at a reunion, it really is. Although it feels very immature in high school, it is a battle between one group of people with another group of people. And Garcelle has had Sutton's back, even to the point where it's affected her relationship with other people. She did, and this is why I say Andy Cohen's not innocent. These questions are, first of all, these questions, before people ask these questions, you know they're pre-approved questions. You know, you're asked, okay, what's the question that you want to ask? If it's not a good question, they're going to be like, ask something else. So these are all screened before they're asked. So an audience member asked Garcelle, who in the cast would have to go for you to return to Real Housewives of Beverly Hills? And Garcelle, playing that game, doesn't hesitate and says, Erica Jane. And some of you might be like, why Erica Jane? Well, first of all, you saw what happened on Watch What Happens Live. They received so much backlash, Bose and Erica Jane, after that appearance about won't he do it. And then, of course, her being drunk on the show and attacking her son. And she says one of her regrets from being on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is that her son was attacked on the show. Not just by Erica Jane, but by bots and things like that on social media. And that was probably the very first time that he's probably experienced racism. You just never know when people have experienced racism for the first time. And it's probably the one moment in your life. There are moments in your life that you're going to remember. It's those moments. And she hates the fact that she was a part of that. I'm explaining. I'm not saying that's what she believes, but that's what I divulge from what she said. The fact that's her one regret was because then he did not want to film after that. We have to keep in mind some of the things that might be behind Garcelle's decision making. It's their last year of college, but she also knows to play the game too. So she's not going to be like, this show has been toxic, the fans are toxic. She's not going to say that. I'll say it. I will say it for her. It's their last year of college. Her son never wanted to be on the show after that incident. So she starts to feel responsible. So I can understand, along with looking at these women, and none of them look like they really appreciate her or open to her being on the show. And I'm not saying that Garcelle's innocent and Garcelle has been perfect with some of her commentary. I'm not saying that. I'm a realist here. However, we also know the mean girls on this cast, and we also understand the Fox Force Flunkies have a new member. Hey, Bose. Good luck with that, girl. But I don't think Bose is going to have a problem. She's navigated these shark-filled waters before. She will leave before she will be the victim of one. Again, don't be shocked if Bose says, I won't be returning for a third season. Don't be shocked. Just say. Anyway, I did want to mention that I have nothing to say about Real Housewives of Orange County. Next week is the season finale. Maybe next week I will do a recap, or maybe I will wait to the reunion where we can just summarize everything that's been happening. I don't get what they're fighting about or what the argument was. It felt like a reach. Now we have more of the fight between Tamar and Gretchen. I don't care. Reboot the situation. And when I say reboot, I don't mean get rid of every single person, but you got to make some major changes for season 20. It's a huge a moment for the franchise itself, not just Orange County, all of it. This is where it began. So celebrating 20 years of being in reality television is a big deal. And I would like to see them do it in a big way. And I think they have a decent cast. Sidebar, Jen. Oh, girl, you's a liar. You's a liar. I'm seeing a whole other side of Jen, and I'm like, And I see also partially why she has aligned herself with Gretchen. She sees value in a friendship with Gretchen in regards to being an influencer and doing things in that vein. Jen, if you see this girl, you probably won't because this is a Braxtons review. But if you do, someone clips this to send this to her. Girl, let me just say this to you. You could tell that Gretchen and her influencing, I'm sure she does decently. I mean, she's taking care of that man, so she has to do somewhat decently. But now she's on this show because she needs this platform to bring actual bigger numbers to her influencing. I'm not saying that she's hard up or that she's broke. What I'm saying is that influencing that she's saying that she's doing so well at and that she's trying to help you with, she's also here on this same show with you. All right, that's it. Let's move on to the Braxtons because we have 2 episodes to talk about. All right, so the Braxtons, as you know, I've been talking about the preview. We talked about the trailer. If you missed any of those videos, we talked about multiple times about the trailer that came out for the new season of the Braxtons. We did recap the Braxtons last season. And I was on the fence whether or not I was going to recap this season because, as I said in the comment section, which triggered Tamar, it feels like season 1, they were weaponizing their nephew's pain in that story, but without giving the nephew's father, Tracy's husband, a platform to defend himself. And Towanda was the main one behind that, saying, we're not giving him a platform. This is our platform to promote our failing careers. Because I will tell you this, episode 2 felt like, what are we doing? I mean, the only person that really has a thriving career in this group of sisters is Toni Braxton and Tamar. And Tamar. Though they're the only ones. And we have to remember, this vehicle really is driven by Tamar. She's an executive producer of this show. Sidebar, last week in promotion of last week's episode, Tamar posted a clip to promote the episode, but I forgot what she said in the caption, but basically in the captions, she was just like, I'm only doing this because they told me I had to. So she's already having issues with the network. Remember, she was slamming the network a few years ago. I can't remember all the details, but basically she was just like, it's a toxic work environment. This was her version of the reality TV, second coming, whatever you want to call it. So, but she claims that, there are different people over there now and things are better. And that's why she decided to come back. Okay. That's why she decided to come back. But it seems like now she's having issues with the network yet again, or at least there seems to be issues happening with the network again. Maybe. But let's start with episode 1 and then we'll get into episode 2. I know I'm jumping around, but a lot of it's connected because very much from the trailer, we see what's to come, which is going to be tonight's episode. And that's with Tamar confronting her sisters about the cease and desist that she received in regards to her interview with Ashley. Apparently that interview happened. I remember hearing that Tamar had some sort of podcast. I don't even know if that podcast is still around, but okay. And she says she wants to talk about mental health. And y'all said I've given Tamar way too much grace and way too much excuses for some of her behavior. And I feel like I really fell for it in the early times when she was saying, I've changed, I'm going to therapy and things, and I fell for it. So I'm really on alert. I'm still keeping an open mind, but I'm on alert. I don't want to fall for it again. Okay? But it's hard when you have people like Towanda and Trina, and you're like, but I can't ride with them because they seem like, Towanda seems like the mastermind. But then I'm reminded she's a Virgo. And this is no shade to Virgos. You guys, if I'm going to come up with a plot and a plan, it's a Virgo I'm going to call. So I feel like she is the master of not just manipulation, but damage control. She is the Olivia Pope of the Braxtons. So that whole situation with Trina and Gabe and Ashley, it seems like she's trying to fix the situation because her loyalty is going to be to Trina, because obviously she does not like Tamar. And hear me out. As a fellow Earth sign, I could see why an Earth sign would not want to be around Tamar. And it's not to do with all you Pisces, but Tamar specifically, because I think based off of every single story that we've covered in regards to Tamar, okay, including when she told me to go rot in hell recently, that was a recent one. There is just this pattern of toxicity and narcissism, and I don't use that word lightly. Yes, we have quite a few people, and I'm not surprised, there are quite a few people in reality television that are narcissists. However, I've definitely seen this, especially recently with Tamar. So it's hard for me to be like, okay, Tamar really wants to give her niece a platform that she did not have. You could have been a support to your niece, Ashley, by supporting her, just by supporting her. You did not have to turn it into content. And one of the things that I pointed out when we covered the trailer, I said, pay attention to what Tamar says. She doesn't say, you guys tried to stop me from supporting Ashley. No. She said, you tried to stop my entire business. And I said, pay attention to these small things because people will tell on themselves. They will tell on themselves. They will tell you their true intentions. And as the late Dr. Maya Angelou said, when people show you who they are the first time, believe them. And sometimes the first time is not immediately like your first interaction. Sometimes the first time seeing someone for who they really are could be years into a friendship or a relationship, and you're like, what was that? And that's the first time that you probably saw who they really are and their true intentions. So I say, pay attention to when she says, you guys try to stop my business. Okay? And I was like, wait, that has nothing to do with supporting Ashley. But we do get to see the scene. As you know, if you've been under a rock and you don't know who Ashley Braxton is, she did come to social media and reveal that one of her aunts, she never said the name, she still hasn't said the name, one of her aunts' husbands at the time were sending her inappropriate text messages. Those text messages were discovered. The aunt was told about these text messages. Ashley says that the aunt in the beginning was very supportive, and then something changed. We've come to find out, just based off of Trina's reaction, that she was the aunt. So that is what's playing out in these first couple of episodes. And Trina's making herself out to be the victim here, which is bothersome to me. And I'm not saying that she's not somewhat the victim, because you were in this toxic marriage that we've seen play out on Braxton Family Values, and where Gabe admitted to having an addiction to certain things that were affecting his marriage when it comes to corn and things like that. But we have to remember, Ashley was 16 when he was sending her these messages. That's not the only thing that Ashley talked about on social media. In other videos, she talked about growing up. She talked about Michael Braxton, that, that's the only boy Braxton, male Braxton, that are amongst the siblings. I don't know what the relationship is when it comes to his sisters and them making this a storyline this season, because he apparently was also sending her legal docs of cease and desist in regards to talking about him and the family. So in this first episode, we have a couple of scenes. Of course, they're talking about some of the things that happened last season. They're talking about Tracy. Fine. And they have every right to talk about Tracy. My issue wasn't them talking about Tracy. That's her sister. They're obviously are affected by the loss of their sister. So I'm okay with that. I didn't love the fact that they were talking about Tracy's husband and weaponizing their nephew. But we won't see him this season because this season is going to be focused on Ashley. Ashley doesn't live in the country, though. Ashley's been living in Spain for the last 10 years. So she's beautiful. I know everyone says that she looks like Towanda's daughter, more than Towanda's own daughter. And she does. She's beautiful. She looks like a Braxton. Beautiful, well-spoken. Just she seems normal in comparison to the other Braxtons. So Barbie's like, girl, Ashley, just stay in Spain, girl. I don't blame you. Stay away, especially now. Now more than ever. Yeah, a lot of Americans have moved to Spain. Spain has made it very easy for Americans to live there and get a visa. But she's been living there for like the last 10 years, and she's been working, she's been acting, she's been doing all kinds of things. So she sits down with Tamar to, just to get an update. And so Tamar is talking about a few different things in regards to like wanting to be a support there for Ashley because no one was a support for her when she was going through what she was going through. Before we even get into some of this, I know a lot of you last season did not like seeing the behind the scenes of them setting up and production and things like that. You felt like it took away from it. Yeah, I kind of, especially seeing it this season, I was surprised that they stayed with that. But what I can appreciate in regards to how they're filming, like just certain things, just like the cinematography of certain, like when we're seeing Towanda and Trina have a conversation about the drinks. They were trying to make slushy drinks or something like that, frozen drinks. And you're seeing it spill over and it's like the dramatic event. Like a part of me appreciates the art form of the filming of how they're doing that. And you're seeing that in different elements in this season. I appreciate that. So keep that in. The behind the scenes, it doesn't bother me, but I did see quite a few people making comments last season that they didn't like seeing that. They don't like seeing production so actively involved in the season. And we see that a lot. I have to say, we do see that a lot. We see that when Towanda gets in the car accident in episode 2. Here's the thing. Okay, I'm going to jump around because this is my review. If you by now, you guys, if you've been watching the Braxtons, you already watched episodes 1 and 2. I'm not talking about episode 3 yet because it hasn't aired yet. But something's cringy, and I get it. This is what makes reality television. I get why they try to capture everything, and they're in the middle of filming. So Towanda gets into an accident. Well, she's walking, and a car runs into her. So she is in the hospital. Do we call production and say, I just got into a car accident? Unless maybe she was supposed to film that day, and she's like, I can't. I'm at the hospital. It could be that, too. But there's something I'm like, that's not my first thought if I've gotten in an accident. The last thing, but I'm also a very private person. So the last thing I'm thinking is like cameras. And that's why I also find it funny when I reported on the Andy Cohen in the club with the black boy twiddling his nipple. I was like, the last thing I'm thinking about when I'm out in public is filming someone. I've never done that. So I always thought that was fun. I was like, you, first of all, out on a Saturday night at the gay club or during Pride. That was me maybe 10 years ago, 10, 15, 20 years ago. Not a couple of years, not in the last 10 years. Okay. But anyway, I digress. I'm bringing it back. For those that are just joining us, we're recapping the latest 2 episodes, the first 2 episodes of season 2 of The Braxton. Yes, you may have not even known. You're welcome, Tamar. Even though you told me to rot in hell for voicing my opinion in the comment section of the Neighborhood Talk. It's nice to know that you watch the content. Yeah, a lot of us, we were like, based off our comments, it's very clear that she has watched your videos over the years. Yeah, Tamar and I have had an interaction on Twitter, hence why she blocked me years ago when I was doing Kempire Radio. But that's a whole, I've told that story before, but I've digressed. Let me focus. So I appreciate the cinematography of what we're getting in season 2. Very similar to what we got in season 1, but the behind the scenes parts, I don't know if we necessarily need to see all of that. But okay. What I don't get with WeTV or the way that this is produced, they're always constantly, before they go to commercial, showing things that are coming or it's kind of, it's weird. And I don't know if it's just the YouTube version, but it's sort of like, okay, we just ended that scene. We're about to go into commercial, so we're getting a preview for what's to come later in the episode or later in the season. It never makes sense to me. And I know we talked about this last season. Some of those scenes, I was like, wait, I don't think we ever got to see that scene. So I get a little confused with how it's edited. But okay. I did get a little notes that I wanted to, just online notes that I got in regards to the episode. I didn't miss anything, like the major storylines of what's happening. So, okay. So let me first talk about Towanda and Trina's conversation. Because I've done a video, because Trina has done her own sort of YouTube live or Instagram live with her husband, Bond, which we find out in episode 2 has congestive heart failure. At first, I was like, why is she leaving? But when he said that, I was like, he's at urgent care. Okay, can't be that necessarily that serious. Maybe got a cold, something. No, congestive heart failure. I understood exactly why she had to run and go be home with him. Okay. But Trina. So as I've given you the context of what Ashley said on TikTok, because I remember when that news broke, we did a story on it. Trina said on her whatever live recap that she did. I don't think I have it here, right? I don't think I have it here because I would play it for you guys again. But again, I've done a video on this, so you can check that out. Trina basically says she can't speak for the dead. But in the scene, she's talking to Towanda, basically saying she's being bullied online. And I'm not saying that anyone should be bullying her online. But at the same time, we have to remember she's benefiting from this being a storyline this season. Because what else? If you're watching this season, what else are we talking about? Okay, Tawanda's getting married. What is Trina's personal storyline? She's now a real estate agent. I am all here for them doing something outside of the reality TV space, because I tell you, so many people get stuck in the reality TV space and they end up doing all these different reality TV shows because they can't seem to do anything else. So she's getting into real estate. I think that's a great business move. Towanda is now acting and directing. I can't tell you how good the acting is, but if Tyler Perry can make $1 billion business off of that terrible acting and writing, why can't Towanda? Am I going to watch it? No. But there are plenty of people that will. But again, we're only watching a snippet of what the situation was. But I was like, okay. I nothing in that scene made me say, I need to go watch that. No, not at all. Not at all. But good for her. She's just going to be on Prime. It's going to be on Apple TV. It's going to be on Tubi. You let me know if you've watched it and if it's any good. And if she's any good as an actor or a director. Okay. Back to Towanda and Trina's conversation. So they're doing their sister stuff, their quirky, funny, weird stuff that they do. Okay. But when they get to the conversation about Ashley going to social media and talking about this, I forgot that Ashley did tour with them and that she did spend time with them, because they flash back and they show those moments. And I guess this is a way of justifying, like, why didn't you say anything back then? We don't know whether or not she said anything back then. And here's the thing, too. Sometimes people block things out or make sense or rationalize things that happened to them when they were minors. And then when they're grown adults and they're away from their toxic family, that's not where you're not in this world of toxicity and it's normal to you, and you're away from your family for 10 years. I remember watching her video, Ashley's video, thinking like she had an aha moment. She's like, that wasn't normal. And I'm sure, even if it's not related to abuse, I'm sure you some people, as they've gotten older and they're looking back on their lives or their childhoods or their, formative years, and you're like, that was abuse. That wasn't okay. That was weird. I'm sure a lot of people, and it doesn't even have to just be with family. Yes, a lot of times it stems from family. It might be the toxic work environment that you used to work in, and you're now looking back and like, that wasn't normal. Hence why you're seeing a lot of folks that were in entertainment and they had, they were part of record labels. You see the ditties of it all. People are now like, wait a minute, that wasn't normal. And when we go all the way back, there were a lot of things that we normalized back in the day, in the 80s and the 90s, in the early 2000s, that we normalized as a culture that we now look back on and we're like, that wasn't okay. I just saw that one of the models from America's Next Top Model saying some stuff about Tyra. As you know, a lot of the models from the reality show America's Next Top Model have been looking back. And I feel like they have every right to feel the way that they feel now, looking back like, that wasn't okay. So they have a right to feel the way that they feel. And I think that's what happened with Ashley. She recollect 16 years later and was like, that wasn't okay. And I wasn't supported by my family. So she's now confided in Tamar. So we have this scene with Towanda and Trina talking about it, and Trina saying it's not okay to find out about your family stuff on social media. I'm not going to say that it's not okay, because based on what she said in that video, what Ashley said in that video, she felt like you weren't supportive of her. Like you were initially supportive and then something changed. So I understood why she probably felt like she couldn't come to you. Or maybe she didn't feel like she wanted to come to you. She wanted to connect and help other people that may have been in a similar situation. And that has nothing to do with you. That has nothing to do with you. I understand, though, that you're upset because it's affected you in regards to people on social media. But now you're benefiting because now this is a storyline on the second season of your reality show, which had a break for multiple years. And I'm sure it affected you guys financially. Let's be honest. Let's point out the things. But okay. Anyway, sidebar. Don't forget, guys, you can hear an audio version of our live recaps and special episodes on the Kempire podcast. We are also raising money this month for breast cancer awareness. 100% of your donation will go to Black Women's Health Imperative because, as you know, or maybe you don't know, Black women are vastly affected more than any other group when it comes to breast cancer and the mortality rate. Again, 100% of your donation will go to the organization. We're almost at halfway at our goal. Our goal is $3,000. Any amount of money will help. Every little bit counts. And if you share this video or you share any of our latest videos with friends and family who you know, like, oh, donate to this cause, please share. Please share. And if you're listening to the audio version of this, head on over to our YouTube channel and donate what you can. Okay? And thank you to everyone that's already donated. Really, really do appreciate all of your donations. Okay? All right. Also, for those that love my skin this morning, is brought to you by our friends over at Butter. Okay? You've been asking for a discount code, and shout out to our friends over at Butter. They've gotten you a discount code, Kempire10, for 10% off at butterskin.com. That's Kempire10 for 10% off of your products. And there's all kinds of things. And you know how things sell out really quickly. So make sure you go get your things, load up. The holidays are right around the corner. So if you want to make sure that you get your things, make sure you order today. And we will be collaborating with Butter again for the holidays. So stay tuned for that announcement. Okay? All right. So back to this. I can't believe I've been talking for like almost 30 minutes. Okay. So we have the Towanda and Trina conversation. Trina seems to be making excuses, making herself out to be the victim in regards to this. As I said to you before, she did a YouTube live, and I think it was a YouTube live. It may have been Instagram. I don't know. It was some sort of live on social media recapping the show with Vaughn. And basically she says she can't speak for the dead. And she was still making excuses, making all kinds of excuses for why she didn't do anything more. And people on social media are like, now of all times, Trina, is when you can actually defend. If you were worried about when Gabe was alive and you were still married to him, now you can actually defend your niece and you still can't do it. What does that say about Trina? But if you've been following Trina's life over the last few years, you're not completely surprised that she is taking this route, even after Gabe's death. And trying to use the excuse about the kids, your kids are grown. Those are grown men. They're not children. And what about the child that wasn't protected in this situation that's crying out for help? So we also have a scene with Tamar and Ashley. They're out to eat, and they're talking about what she wants to talk about, and you know why now. And Ashley, I have to say, Ashley speaks very well about what she wants to share and what's been going on. And some of what happened, I completely forgot about her younger sister, because I remember when this story happened, her younger sister, Lauren, had passed away due to an overdose. So Ashley says, she's like, I didn't want to end up like that. So it seems like I don't know the full story about Lauren. I'm not sure if they ever really talked about it in depth. I don't think they did. So I'm thinking Ashley's saying, like, I need to get all of this trauma healed and out before I turn to substances or anything that's toxic and not healthy. I was like, I get that. Do I believe that Tamar's intentions are pure? I mean, I can't tell you here or there whether or not they're pure or not. I do find it interesting that they've decided to bring this as a storyline, a main storyline for the season. Okay? However, we have to remember Tamar was abused herself and she felt like no one was there for her. And that is her, she says that's her motivation for supporting Ashley. Okay, I didn't appreciate all the theatrics, but that's Tamar as well. When Ashley's like, I have a lot to say, and all you see is Tamar like, you do? But that's Tamar. So sometimes I have to be like, okay, that's just Tamar. But at the same time, we're talking about something very serious, something that's happened to you as well. And all these theatrics just feel like, is this really authentic? We will have to wait and see. Okay, was there anything in episode 1 that I have not talked about? Because for me, the main things that stood out in episode 1 were the Towanda and Trina conversation about Ashley, and then Tamar and Ashley's conversation. All right, let's move on to episode 2 of the Braxtons, okay? And what happens here. So there are a couple of things that happen here. And look, this is a part of their lives. They are our famous family, so they're involved in entertainment. They have their businesses. So they're going to use this platform to promote their businesses. Tamar is using the platform to promote her tour with October London. That's already happened. We do have this scene with Tamar getting butt shots. Literally, I just saw Tamar performing. Remember, that was the performance where she was like, guys, season 2 of the Braxtons coming. I want to apologize now. And I was like, okay, now all of a sudden, you're apologizing for the season. Before you were standing 10 toes down on social media that you're doing this for your niece. And I'm like, what are you apologizing for? What are we about to see? But she said she's getting these butt shots. And I remember her dancing and singing on stage. And I was like, did she get butt shots? Maybe they're temporary. And maybe she didn't. I don't know. I don't know. But a lot of episode 2 felt so pre-produced and forced. So Towanda is very much, because that was one of the things in episode 1. Towanda is preparing for her marriage. She comes in, she's like, I'm getting married. I mean, like it's her big thing right now. Okay, and something's happening. And I just don't know who to trust in this, because I don't trust Towanda and I don't trust Tamar. Tamar, as you know, last season said that Towanda doesn't call her. She's like, when was the last time I talked to you? Oh, your birthday? That was in September. It's now March. And Towanda asked Tamar to be a maid of honor. And she says that she never got a reply. She sent a video, and they show the video where Tamar says, oh my gosh, congratulations. I'll be so honored to be a maid of honor. She says she never received a response from Towanda. And she's making it seem like Towanda wanted to produce this moment of like, oh, you haven't been there for me. It could be that. I don't know. I can't make sense of it because, again, I don't trust Tamar and I don't trust Towanda. I can understand why Towanda would not want to be around the Tamar energy, but then at the same time, like, why didn't you respond if she did send you that? Now I need clarification. Did you or did you not? So Towanda, despite getting into this car accident, so we do see that we have this scene where she's in the accident, she's in the hospital. Her man is there. Her man I wish they would have showed the before and after of his hair change, but I guess the before he was bald, I don't remember. But I just wish in that moment, editors, show us the before, because I couldn't remember what he looked like before. I wish he would cut the beard, that long beard. I was like, just cut the beard. I think he's a handsome man. And the hair looks good. But I was just like, that beard, just cut it. Trim it. Just saying. Anyway. But she's like, she's so grateful for him because he just sat there and laid with her when she got into the accident till the ambulance came. She's like, she got really hurt. She hurt her nose. She's got a fractured this, a fractured arm, a fractured that. I'm like, oof, girl. But she's like, I am still going to Tulum and celebrating my bachelorette party. We also keep in mind, too, they also have schedules. They have schedules. She's also Virgo. Virgos are going to get things done. Like, no, you're not going to. No, we have this planned and we got to move forward with it. But you have to remember, they're filming this too. So all of this is being filmed and planned. And she's like, I don't want to miss out on filming. I don't want to miss out on documenting this part of my life, my storyline. I get it. So there's this big issue between Towanda and Tamar on whether or not Tamar is going to go to Tulum. So we find out later, because Tamar's sort of like on the fence whether or not she's going to Tulum. So she brings it up. She's having this photo shoot for her tour with October London and Rose James. And you see Phil come in. Hey, Phil. Phil comes in. He's a music executive. He knows Tamar for a very long time. He comes in. This feels so pre-produced. And Phil, he knows what he's doing when it comes to reality television. But this felt so pre-produced because he's not an actor. So he comes in and he's just like, yeah, I'm not going to Tulum. And she's like, what you mean you're not going to Tulum? I need you there as my support. Okay, so your support for your sister's bachelorette party? Come on now. But this whole scene felt so pre-produced in regards to Tamar getting ready for this photo shoot. She comes out. Shout out to the photographer. The photographer was actually my photographer in Atlanta for our Atlanta show. So shout out to Morris. So it was like, oh, Morris. So I know those photos are going to be lit, okay? So it just felt so pre-produced, this whole situation where she had to create conflict and then a resolution kind of thing. But first, the conflict was Phil telling her that he's not going to be able to go to Tulum. And she's like, I need you to be there. Okay. And he's like, you should be there for your sister's bachelorette. We'll get back to that. So in regards to the conflict, when it comes to the photo shoot, she goes out for the photo shoot and she's like, why does this look like a bar? Why does this look like a bar? And then they're like, oh, hold the martini glass. And she's like, no, the Tamartians are not, martini drinkers. We need to be young and pop. Tamar, that has been, I think, probably the downfall of your career and what people did not like on your Love Is War album were those songs where you wanted to drop it like it's hot. The songs that were successful and what people loved you for were your grown and sexy songs. Shout out to, rest in peace, to LaShawn Daniels, who I interviewed. If you missed it, you can find it on the Kempire Radio YouTube channel. One of his rare interviews that he's done. And legend, he's written for Brandy, all your favorite songs, LaShawn Daniels. You remember if you watched Tamar's reality show with Vince. And sadly, he passed away. It was a car accident, I think it was, yeah. So, People appreciate Tamar for the grown and sexy songs. They don't appreciate Tamar for these drop it like it's hot. But again, I felt like this was a pre-produced moment because Tamar starts to make a big deal about it, and then she walks off the set, and then she is making a big deal behind the scenes, like, oh, this is not what I want, blah blah. First of all, if this is your situation, and she says she's a creative. Did you not have a conversation or a meeting with your team of what the creative or what this photo shoot was going to look like? So for me, this was all BS. This was all BS. They wanted to make it seem like it wasn't the photographer that did it because that wouldn't have looked good for his brand. So they were like, it wasn't the photographer who did it. This information was sent to her assistant, and the assistant didn't tell her. Why, as the person that's doing the photo shoot, wouldn't ask? So what's the theme? Or this is the theme that I want. And I get it. You have a team, but you're still going to be involved because this is your photo shoot and so you're just walking into the photo shoot blindly, not knowing what the theme is going to be? Girl. And what happened, only thing that they changed in this scene was what she was drinking. Okay, girl, stop. It felt so forced and so pre-produced. But let's talk about the whole situation when it comes to whether or not Tamar is wanted at this bachelorette party. So they break the fourth wall yet again. So we're seeing, I feel sorry for you, OG, because when producers are now in front of the cameras, now you're probably getting it on social media. I don't think anything that OG's doing is wrong. I just don't know if we should constantly be seeing production and the producers on camera. Because it really, I think for people now, it's like, is this a reality show or is this just, what is this? I don't know. But maybe that's the aesthetic that they want to go for. Okay. But did Towanda want Tamar to be there? Tamar's just like, I had a ticket to Tulum. She points to the production. You told me that Towanda did not want me there. So they flash back to Towanda talking to OG, the executive producer, on the beach. And I can't say 100% based off of what Towanda says in that moment. It sounded like Towanda was fed up at that particular point. It didn't sound like Tawanda's like, I don't want her here. Because when she first gets to Tulum, she's confiding in her friend and she's like, no, none of my sisters are here. I feel like I'm not supported by them. And here's the thing. I'm going to defend Towanda for a hot second because I understand as a Virgo how she is. And what we've seen of Towanda over the years, I said, is she's the fixer. She's the Olivia Pope of the family. She's the plotter, the planner. No matter good or bad, okay? She's the mastermind. And remember, she used to be Tony's assistant. So that's a perfect role for her. Towanda probably feels, and she says this, she's helped plan everyone else's wedding. And she really wants people to show up for her. I understood that 100%. She doesn't want, and I think that's what it is too. I think some of what she kind of gives a little in regards to like, oh, I'm making you the maid of honor. And that's it. She wants you just to show up and do more. She doesn't want to have to text you and constantly follow up. And it feels like she wants people to start taking initiative, the initiative that she gives into her family. I'm not saying that Tawanda's innocent, but what I'm trying to understand where she's coming from. In that scene that they show, it didn't 100% land for me that Towanda said that she didn't want Tamar to be there. It seemed to me in that moment while she's in Tulum. Remember, she's in Tulum when he's talking to her. So it's not like Tamar is on her way there, and this was a conversation before they even got to Tulum. It seems as if Towanda in that moment is frustrated, and she's just like, I can't. No. Also, this is supposed to be her day, her moment, her weekend. And she probably is like, I'm not catering to this brat sister of mine that I've been catering to for years. I'm just saying. But also, on the other side, in regards to Tamar's side, Tamar, hearing secondhand information, could be like, oh, so she doesn't want me there? So she doesn't want me there? Based on what she's hearing. That's why communication, I know we assume what we say is heard the way we said it, but not always. Not, especially if you're hearing it secondhand. You know what I mean? Or third hand. So that is what happens. So they show you all the bachelorette events that they're having. And I did feel for Towanda when she's like, who I miss that would really been a fun time during this weekend is Tracy. And they flash back to the moments with Tracy. And I felt for her there because I understood that. Because watching these first two episodes, I was like, I just imagine what this would have been like. And I honestly, as someone that watched Braxton Family Values before, I don't think I appreciated Tracy the way that I really appreciate Tracy now. And I think that some of the fans feel that. I think we always loved Tracy on the show, and she was always the one to be like the funny one, the one to hold them accountable. I think we always had Tracy's back, but I don't think we really appreciate it. And I think now we feel it more than ever. She was the most likable person in this family. And she was like the black sheep of the family. But she was the most likable and funny in this family. Tamar too. Tamar is I'm not going to take that away from Tamar. I always will say Tamar is great reality television. But Tracy really was funny. And I would have loved to see Tracy in this moment. I just don't understand I think Towanda and Tamar just do not mesh well. And just because someone's family doesn't mean that you guys can be best friends. Ideally, I think that's what leads to the toxicity and the fightings, because you try to make something that's just not going to work. Not every sibling is going to be like besties. And a lot of people can relate to that. And feel free to share that in the live chat or in the comment section. If you're watching the replay of this is not live, sidebar, pre-recorded. So if you're making comments, I can't see them. I can't see them, but it's okay. I wanted to talk about, and I can't promise that every week I'll be doing a recap of the Braxtons. Maybe every other week, depending on my schedule and what's going on. You never know. Next week's episode, though, is where we see the sit down that they've been, sharing everywhere for the last several weeks, even before the episode premiered, the season premiered. We're going to see the sit down where Tamar accuses her sisters of sending a cease and desist, but she has like multiple envelopes. She's like, so how did they get my address? So one of the sisters had to give her the address. Toni claims that she never sent a cease and desist. Toni claims that she's been supportive, and Toni's the one who gets crunk. She's like, you're trying to sit here and say that I never had your back? And Tamar's like, yes. So, and mind you, Tamar and Toni have always been really super close. So it's so interesting to see this change in their dynamic. And as you may recall, and I wonder if this is why Tamar blocked her sister, because remember, we found that out when Toni posted a happy birthday to Tamar, and she's like, I would tag her, but she has me blocked. But that's Tamar. I'm surprised I'm not blocked. Which is okay, Tamar. I'm still going to find out the stuff. Okay, half the time I find out the stuff because the blogs have posted it. But yeah. She ain't got me blocked though, Portia. That Pisces just ain't that sensitive. I guess the Cancers are more sensitive than the Pisces? I find that hard to believe. Okay. All right. Was there anything else that I wanted to say about this episode? If you guys had to rate episode 1, how would you rate it from 1 to 10? If you had to rate episode 2, how would you rate that from 1 to 10? Episode 1, I'm going to give it a 6. Episode 2, I'm going to give it a 7. Is it worth watching? I mean, if you have nothing else, I think that's the reason why I watched Real Housewives of Orange County, and I was like, I don't want to talk about this. So I made a plan. I said, you know what? I've been meaning to watch the first 2 episodes, and here we are. I will watch the 3rd episode, which happens tonight on WeTV. You're welcome. They're not paying me for this, but maybe they should. Look, maybe they should. No, because I don't like to be paid for reviews, because I feel like if I can't say what I really want to say, you're not. First of all, if I don't like something, you're probably not going to want to pay me. Remember Carlos? Anyway. Guys, if you haven't liked the video already, be sure to like the video. And if you're listening to the audio version of this, don't forget to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Join our Club Kempire Apple Podcast paid subscription. There's a free 3-day trial. You can hear Kempire After Dark live from Philly. Also some special episodes there as well. So be sure to check that out if you haven't already. And don't forget, we have new merch. Are You Okay merch is now available, but also the tour merch is available. And don't forget, if you want my skincare routine and you've been wanting a discount from Butter, head on over to butterskin.com and use the discount code Kempire10 for 10% off. Okay? More information on that will be available in the description. Everything Kempire will be available in the description as well. And don't forget, we are still raising money for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. 100% of your donation goes to the organization Black Women's Health Imperative, because Black women are greatly affected by breast cancer. The mortality rate is the largest amongst all of the groups that are affected by breast cancer. So be sure to donate. Again, 100% of your donation goes to the organization. Help us reach our goal today of $1,500. Our ultimate goal is $3,000, but let's get halfway there. I know by next week, which is the final week, next Friday is Halloween. So then there's that. Shout out to the Scorpios. You're probably my favorite of the water signs, so shout out to the Scorpios. Okay? Happy Scorpio season. If you're celebrating a birthday, happy birthday. Let's continue this conversation in the comment section, guys. As always, thank you so much for watching and for listening. So it looks like the preview for tonight's episode of the Braxtons has been revealed, and we have Towanda accusing Tamar Braxton of sleeping with Toni Braxton's ex-boyfriend. But Tamar also accuses Towanda of stealing from her. So we have to go down the rabbit hole of past accusations and past boyfriends. So let's get into this. Earlier today, we recapped the latest episode of the Braxtons. Well, the latest the first two episodes of season 2. So if you missed that, be sure to check that out. We posted that earlier today. Only for after I did that, I saw the preview for tonight's episode, a sit down between the sisters of the Braxtons that they've been promoting even before the season began. Now, tonight, we get to see the full breakdown in this relationship because we see Tamar versus her sisters, Tamar versus Toni. But this scene, Tamar versus Towanda, is interesting because the last couple episodes that we talked about, Towanda wasn't looking great because it seemed as if Towanda was setting up scenarios where Tamar would look bad. There's enough about Tamar to make herself look bad. However, the evidence against Towanda was pretty damning. What we did not expect, because they kept on promoting this battle between Toni and Tamar, we did not expect a battle between Towanda and Tamar in this conversation. So I'm going to play the clips for you, and then I have to go down the rabbit hole as to the people that they're bringing up. They don't mention the names. They blur out the names. They even blur out the mouth because they knew the lip readers would figure it out. I'm just going to play the audio because WeTV is very weird about playing their content. I will play it and stop it and go. We're playing this under fair use for research and commentary purposes. So let me just play for you this. It's a less than a minute clip.
The man my address.
So Tamar is really upset because she received a cease and desist in regards to the interview that she did with her niece, Ashley Braxton, who's accusing the late Gabe, Trina's late husband or ex-husband, of being inappropriate with her via text when she was 16 years old. She took to social media, spoke about it. Tamar wanted to bring her on her podcast and on the reality show. She accused Toni of wanting to bring Ashley on the reality show. We have not heard how their brother, who is the father of Ashley Braxton, feels about them even talking about this on the show.
Expecting y'all to really give a the man my address. I'm not expecting y'all to really give a about me. What I am asking about is my child.
Do I know where you live?
Well, of course you don't come.
The relationship between Towanda and Tamar has been tumultuous. We learned last season that Tamar feels as if Towanda does not reach out to her. The issue this season is that Tamar doesn't go to Tulum for her bridal shower, but it seems as if Towanda did not even want her to be there. Okay? She says that Towanda doesn't reach out to her. Months can go by. The only time that Towanda will speak to her is if they're filming.
So
Exactly.
my thing I'm asking about is my child.
Do I know where you live?
Well, of course you don't come. So
Exactly.
my
So
thing,
how would I
I know
give
where
it
you
to
live because I put down your down payment.
Boom. So Tamar says, I know where you live because I put down your down payment. How do you guys feel about someone throwing something like that in your face? I guess maybe all bets are off when you're in an argument. And I don't remember if Tamar has said that before or has thrown stuff like that. And I can't remember every single detail of the Braxton family. But you know, I cover so many different shows. But she throws that in her face.
Of course you don't come. So
Exactly.
my
So
thing,
how would I
I know
give
where
it
you
to
live because I put down your down payment.
Beautiful.
And you've been stealing from me for
And Trina's just sitting there like, just with the faces.
the past couple years on my credit cards.
Hold on.
My thing,
how would I
I know
give
where
it
you
to
live because I put down your down payment.
Beautiful.
And you've been stealing from me for the past couple years on my credit cards.
Boom. She says that you have been stealing from me for the past couple of years on my credit cards. Which at first I thought she was saying this happened in the past because don't forget, she has been accused, Towanda Braxton has been accused before of doing similar things. So I went down a rabbit hole. And again, I'm just going to say that these are allegations. I'm not saying that this is fact or fiction. I'm just saying to you, this is what she's been accused of before, Towanda Braxton. So I had to go down the internet streets and I'm reminded from this article, Toni Braxton's assistant has accused one of her singer's sisters of stealing from the family. So Toni Braxton's assistant. Remember, Towanda used to be Toni's assistant, but this is another assistant. Towanda Braxton, Braxton Family Values, is being accused of once stealing her mother Evelyn's SSI check. The accusation comes from Toni's assistant, Zoe. According to MediaTakeout.com, Zoe spilled the tea on his new podcast. He's apparently pissed that Towanda hasn't paid him for his now dissolved skincare line. When you can steal SSI checks, I don't know what to say to a person when you're that evil. Who can be that thirsty, that evil, he said. It's worth noting that in 2005, Towanda was arrested in Atlanta and charged with forgery and theft by receiving, according to the report. So I remember this story from way back when. Towanda's ex-landlord, and this is back in 2019, reality star Towanda Braxton is financially broke according to her recent bankruptcy filing, but her former landlord isn't buying it and doesn't want the court to dismiss the $76,000 she allegedly owes him. The Braxton family value star is in a financial tug of war with Michael Wagner, who says that she's being dishonest about her bankruptcy filing and has filed a lawsuit claiming fraud. In his lawsuit, Wagner claims that Braxton rented a home from him and defaulted, leaving more than $76,000 in unpaid rent and damages. Braxton included the debt on her Chapter 7, and Wagner is asking the court not to wipe it out what she owes him. But Braxton fired back and said that Wagner hasn't proven a compelling case of fraud, and she wants her debt to him dismissed in her bankruptcy case. So it sounds like she was trying to use the bankruptcy to kind of get out of all her financial issues. According to Yahoo, Braxton and Wagner cut a deal back in September of 2018, and she agreed to make payments to settle the debt. So that makes it worse. So you had an agreement with this person to settle the debt, and now you're trying to have the debt wiped clean through the bankruptcy. But he says that she paid only one time. Wagner said that she left the home in shambles with fire damage, knife holes in various walls, and the garage door. What? Wagner said that Braxton is fraudulently misrepresenting her assets and only filed bankruptcy after he went after her for his money. He's asking the court to award him punitive damages and not to discharge the debt. According to the blast, she also owes Tamar Braxton, her sister, $35,000. In April, when she filed for bankruptcy, she claimed at the time she only had $150 in her bank account. These are important details to be reminded of their financial situation when you see all of the antics that they're willing to do and go to on this show. Keep that in mind. So in court documents reportedly obtained by the site, Towanda listed $277,650 in assets and a whopping $547,056.39 in liabilities. Her assets allegedly include the $275,000 home that she just bought in Georgia, $1,500 in household goods, $1,000 in clothing, and $150 in her checking account. Her listed debts include $417,715 to a mortgage company, $76,000 to her former landlord, $982 to Comcast, over $1,000 to collections attorneys, $8,480 to Covenant Christian Academy, $6,211.30 in medical bills, and a $35,000 personal loan given to her by her sister, Tamar, and various other debts. A decision hasn't been made on the case. I don't know what the final decision was in regards to this case because this is from back in 2019. You guys can remind me in the comments section. I just had to go back because I remembered there were some financial issues with Towanda over the years, including being accused of forgery and things like that. Let's get back to the audio that I was just playing for you.
Help me. I put down your down payment.
Beautiful.
And you've been stealing from me for the past couple years on my credit cards. Help me.
But what you steal?
I don't steal.
So she didn't, again, we're watching an edited show. So Towanda, and this is what a lot of people that have been watching and reacting to this clip today are saying. So Towanda, you're not denying that you stole from your sister? And literally we see in this bankruptcy, you got a $35,000 loan from your sister and you are also trying to have that wiped clean as well?
You've been stealing from me for the past couple years on my credit cards. Help me.
My thing is, Tamar saying this in 2025, that you've been stealing from me for the past couple of years. So she's talking about recently. What? And they haven't had a good relationship. Ooh.
You steal.
I don't steal your down payment.
Beautiful.
And you've been stealing from me for the past couple couple years on my credit cards and help
But
me.
what you steal?
I don't steal anything.
You don't? You stole men.
What's who
She says, Towanda says to her, you stole men. Let me look at Trina's face during this.
steal anything?
You don't? You stole men.
Trina's face is sitting back like this with her hand on her chin and looking very viciously at Tamar. We have to keep in mind, Trina's not happy with Tamar because she decided to put Ashley on this podcast. And you already saw what Trina has said in regards to Ashley being on the show and coming out and talking about this. She did not come to protect her niece. She's still protecting this dead man. So if you haven't seen the clip, you can see it all over social media so you can see Trina's face. Matter of fact, I'll take a picture and I'll post it up here.
Credit cards and help
But
me.
what you steal?
I don't steal anything.
You don't? You stole men.
Who's the man that I stole?
Tony's.
And Toni goes like, huh? What? He stole my man.
You slept with them.
Slept with one of Toni Braxton's ex-boyfriends?
A few times.
Who? What man?
She says a few times, and then she says the name, and they blur it out, and they beep it out.
You not get the lead.
I have to look at Tony's reaction because
You not get the lead.
Oh, bitch.
and this is Trina's face. Trina's just smirking and smiling. I think she's just reveling in mentioning all of this because she is not happy with Tamar talking to Ashley and bringing Ashley on the show.
Down there.
I'm so glad they stopped calling the show Braxton Family Values because they have none.
Hell no.
They didn't have any during Braxton Family Values when that was airing, but wasn't the whole theme of last season Tracy's dying wish were for the sisters to be reunited and connected again? This is not going to do it. When you go this low and you're doing this for public consumption, you can't come back from that.
You not get the lead.
So Tamar gets up after she mentions the name and accuses her of sleeping with Toni Braxton's ex-boyfriend. Tamar gets up and she hits the glass of water towards Towanda, which makes me think, is she so upset because there's some truth to it or just outlandish lie that made her upset? I don't know. Could be either one.
Who? What man?
You not get the lead.
Oh, bitch. Dirty low down ass bitch.
Oh, you such a liar. Such a liar.
Man, he said he Towanda.
You know that's a lie.
I swear.
And now Tamar is saying that he said, I'm guessing the man, the ex-boyfriend, said that he effed Towanda? What is going on?
Liar. Such a liar.
Man, he said he Towanda.
You know that's a lie.
I swear
You
to
know
God.
that's a lie.
I
Which
swear.
God are you trying
I swear. Your man for? You think I too? Don't you?
It's going left tonight on the latest episode of the Braxtons. So you know I had to go down a rabbit hole. Who exactly has Toni Braxton dated over the years? And she said ex-boyfriend. So I don't think it's anyone that she's been married to. So as you know, she's married to Birdman. And she was dating him for a very long time. And these are just allegedly, because Toni has never really confirmed a lot of relationships besides the people that she's married. Apparently, back in 2012, she dated Eddie Murphy. I don't think it's Eddie Murphy, but you never know. She was married to Carrie Lewis for 12 years. Okay, and they called it quits in 2013. Curtis Martin and Toni dated back in the late 1990s. They broke up following her bankruptcy, though that was not the reason for the split. Who is Curtis Martin again? He's handsome. I'm seeing a picture of him. I don't recall him. But okay. Jim Jackson, she dated from 1996 to 1997, reportedly. Hold on. They said it was involved in a love triangle that broke up the Dallas Mavericks roster. She was rumored to have been dating both Jim Jackson and Jason Kidd. What? I must have missed this story. Okay, but I remember Jason Kidd. They said she also dated Jason Kidd. So was it one of them? Okay, but no, there's more. There's more. Hold on, y'all. There's Shamar Moore, dated in the mid-1990s. Here's the thing, though. It makes me wonder if we can get a timeline, then we can kind of pinpoint who exactly it could have been. I'm thinking that this is a relationship from years ago. But why would Towanda even bring that up right now? So Shamar Moore, she dated in the mid-90s. Okay. I could see it. You got to type. That's why people are so shocked that you're dating Birdman. Bryant Reed. She dated Bryant Reed, the brother of her producer, L.A. Reid. I didn't know that. Again, these are just allegedly. This is not confirming whether or not she actually dated them. Bryant Reed. It makes me wonder about this one because was this someone that they were all around at the same time? She dated Frankie Beverly? Rumored, is often listed among the women Frankie Beverly has dated. May he rest in peace. Really? I mean, there's a huge age difference between them, but you never know. Okay. I mean, I had to Google schmoogle some of the people because I only know a handful of people that she's been connected to over the years, but there could be other people. So who exactly? I'm going to rely on the Reddit streets. I'll keep you posted, guys, in regards to this. But that is the sneak peek for tonight's episode. And here's the thing. Of course, they're putting this out. Of course, they know this is going to get people to watch tonight's episode. They're going to get people to watch the Braxtons. But is reality television worth it for the demise of your values, your virtues, and your family? Again, when you look at their financial situation specifically, the financial situation, I mean, all of them had financial issues, including Toni Braxton over the years. I mean, she's doing quite well. Today, she announced that she's going on tour with Boyz II Men and New Edition, which, yes, I kind of get, but at the same time, I'm like, why these two boy bands and Toni Braxton? I feel like you could do something with another legend, but okay. Anyway, that's just me. So they announced their New Edition tour that's happening today.
Thanks for tuning in to Kempire here on the Kempire Radio Network. Don't forget to give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. And for more information on the podcast, head on over to KempireRadio.com.